It's another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're taking a look at the movies of July 16th, 1993. Four movies to look at today, so let's not waste any time. Let's just jump right on into it. And we'll start off with the first new release of the weekend, the biggest new release of the weekend, the release that has more of a theme to Halloween, even though it was released in the summertime. And it's a movie that everybody seems to love, except one person. I'm sure that some other people too, but yeah, let's talk about Hocus Pocus.
Jump back, twist the bones and bend the back.
Back in 1693, the people of Salem, Massachusetts,
Witches? Yes?
thought they got rid of the Sanderson sisters for good.
We shall be back!
300 years later, it's Halloween Eve, and they're back.
We're home.
Are you boys a little old to be trick-or-treating?
Talking about three ancient hags versus the 20th century. How bad can it be?
Now they're digging up old friends and running amok, looking for the one thing they miss most.
You stay for supper. I'm not hungry. But we are.
Only one boy has the power to stop them
Prepare to die again!
You have no powers here, you fool!
before all Salem falls under their spell.
Tell you.
Walt Disney Pictures presents Bette Midler,
Hello?
Sarah Jessica Parker,
Would thou dance with me?
and Kathy Najimy. Hocus Pocus.
Into the night!
They love to fly, and it shows.
Good night. Sleep tight. No screaming.
So this movie has gained somewhat of a following, and a following on the same levels as something like A Christmas Story that has done over the last couple of years, or something like Christmas Vacation or Elf, where it's become part of the Halloween zeitgeist. It's something that everybody has to watch. If you watch the Freeform's 31 Nights of Halloween, I should say, it's on every single day for most of the time. It was actually on ABC this year in particular, largely because of the sequel that came out on Disney Plus, and everyone seems to like it, but unfortunately, I'm one of those people that does not. I really do not like this movie. I never got why this movie was so good, because all I saw when I watched this movie a lot was these very good actors being wasted and just wasting their time and talent on a movie that could have been so much better. Now, don't get me wrong. It's got a great cast. I mean, Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, Kathy Najimy. You also have Thora Birch, Vanessa Shaw, Jason Marsden, Doug Jones, Charles Rocket, Kathleen Freeman, Gary Marshall, Penny Marshall. Great cast overall. I mean, you should have something really good here, but honestly, I don't know how they did it, but they really went wrong with it. I mean, the main characters overall are just poorly written stock characters of what characters in movies are supposed to be like at the time. And they're just how the studio thinks most kids growing up in the 90s were like, when, in all actuality, they really are not. And I'm sorry, I just can't buy into these characters' performances, no matter how much they phone them in, as much as they phone it in. And the witches overall are not very threatening. They come off more as very annoying. I mean, try to imagine Tim Curry's Pennywise from It, only instead of being over-the-top hilarious, they are actually really annoying. And the witches' plan really makes no sense whatsoever, and I never felt any real threats from them, because their plan to get revenge is not really thought out well at all. And I mean, the kid actors really do not have a whole lot to do here. You've got a lot of good actors being in here, being wasted on here on such really lousy dialogue. There's a lot of moments where the comedy is just so lazy, and it's just like, overall, there's no real peril or conflict whatsoever, because you can't buy any of these characters into the situations that they're in. I mean, there's really nothing in here. It's like, you have no sympathy for any of these characters whatsoever, because the situations that these main heroes are placed in are in the levels of a really scary haunted house. I will give the movie credit, though. Some of the special effects are still pretty impressive for the time period. They still hold up 30 years later. But other than that, though, I really don't like this movie at all. And the only reason I think a lot of people do like it is because of the nostalgia factor and the fact that I'll be less harsh on it because I have bad movies that I like because of nostalgic flavor. I mean, I still love the original Space Jam, and that's one of those movies that's a really bad, lousily made movie, but it's not a great movie at all, but I still love it. I still think it's one of my all-time favorite movies, even though I know it's a big guilty pleasure movie. Something like Speed 2 is another example of that. So in that case, maybe I could kind of understand why people found this movie appealing. But other than that, I don't get it. I think this movie probably would have worked a lot better as a more adult-oriented movie, kind of like what Enchanted was going to be. Because Enchanted was supposed to be a more racier, R-rated movie before it became a family film. And while I really like Enchanted, I always wondered what that original script would have looked like. And I think you could have done the same thing with Hocus Pocus. And maybe not to the levels of an R-rated movie, but more on the lines of a raunchier PG-13 comedy. But as it is, it's a badly written, poorly acted, and poorly directed movie, in my opinion, that I really don't like. A lot of people do. And honestly, if you like it, more power to you. But I just never got into it like everybody else did. I'll never understand it, and just let the people who enjoy it enjoy it. And don't expect any thoughts on Hocus Pocus 2 anytime soon, because unfortunately, it's because like with this movie, I have no real interest in watching this movie again. So that movie, or this movie again, pretty much. So yeah, so that's my thoughts on Hocus Pocus. So let's move on to the next movie, which I think is a slightly much better family film, but still has some notable flaws to it. It's a classic film overall, Free Willy.
Imagine if the world you lived in, the space you breathed in, and the freedom you played in was suddenly taken away. Imagine if the only person who knew how you felt was a boy who felt it too.
You really like him, huh? Yeah. Gotcha.
In a world where beauty is held captive,
Miss your family?
it takes a special friend
Willie doesn't have a problem with me. We appreciate each other.
Looks like Willy's got himself a soulmate.
to set you free.
What's the matter?
Whale's still not performing. We're getting deeper into this.
He was too big and too old to be caught in the first place.
Hey, the whale first far dead than alive.
They tried to kill him.
Warner Brothers proudly presents
Mine's Free Willy. He's got a family out there. I heard him.
the most unexpected friendship of the year.
I gotta look out for Willie, and I gotta do what's best for him. Understand?
If we don't get Willie into water soon, he's gonna die. Nobody steals a whale.
We gotta hurry! He's not doing so good!
Don't let that whale get away!
Go, Willie, go!
The greatest adventure of the summer. Free Willy.
And then the whale fell on top of the kid. Willie didn't make it, and he crushed the little boy too. It was quite a mess. I mean, come on, man. I mean, that trailer just pretty much is very ambiguous. You can make up your own dark, twisted ending about it. Or you can just do what The Simpsons did and just do exactly what they said. Just say, oh no, Willie didn't make it, and he crushed our little boy. Ugh, what a mess. But, Free Willy. Free Willy is the movie that received a lot of good critical attention at the time, a lot of positive attention, and it was seen as a great family film at the time. And honestly, I can't really argue with that. I think this is a movie that is it's a very flawed movie, but it's very simplified. It's a very formulaic story, but at the same time, they do a pretty good job of making this story about a kid and this dolphin and this whale and having this connection between them. And it actually does work really well. They have a very good chemistry, and it works mostly because of the actor Jason James Richter, who he does a pretty good job. This is his first movie he's ever been in, and he's very entertaining in this. It's got a great cast overall. Lori Petty, Jane Atkinson, August Schellenberg, Michael Madsen's in this as the bad guy. No, he's not the bad guy. He's the foster father. Michael Ironside is the bad guy in this. You also have the grandfather from Grounded for Life, Mickey Wilson. Daniel Harris from the Halloween movies is in this as well. And it is just a nice little story. It's a nice little story about this kid who's trying to save this whale who's stuck in this theme park, and the goal is to essentially free him out into the open. And it's an overall really enjoyable film. It's a nice, solid film. It doesn't really have to do too much to really get the message out there or get its story out there. It does just enough to entertain a lot of people, and it's really enjoyable. Plus, I think, let's be honest, the movie really did well because of the soundtrack by Michael Jackson. Of course, Michael Jackson was heavily involved in the soundtrack for this, mostly with the song "Will You Be There," which is a really damn catchy song. If you ever listen to it, it's a great song overall. There's even another one that actually remixes one of Jackson's songs, "Human Nature," called "Right Here," which is another good song off the soundtrack. The soundtrack overall is very, very good. It's a very solid soundtrack, and this is a very solid movie all around. It's a movie that I keep going back to, and I really do find myself really enjoying it every time I watch it. The sequels, that's a whole nother story altogether. In fact, wait till you hear what I have to say about Free Willy 2, because that movie holds a very special place in my heart, probably for not the reasons that you think it does. But we'll get to that one when we get to 1995. But bottom line, Free Willy is a pretty damn good movie. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. You might be pleasantly surprised by it. So with that said, let's move on to the next movie, and that is Roadsholler.
All my life, I've had two claims to fame. I was born in Transylvania, and I don't drive a car. Learning to drive will prepare me for the ultimate American ritual. The cross-country road trip.
So this is essentially a documentary following an NPR journalist, Andrei Cordisu, who's a Romanian immigrant, a naturalized American citizen, and a newly licensed driver who goes off on a cross-country road trip. He travels from sea to shining sea in a red 1968 Cadillac ragtop, exploring the meaning of freedom to a variety of Americans in this gently comic yet poignant documentary. He goes to places like New York, Camden, Detroit, Chicago, Taos, Arizona, Las Vegas, San Francisco. That's pretty much all I got for you on this one, because I have not seen this movie, and I honestly didn't know too much about it. But I mean, it's a road trip documentary, and won some Peabody Award, so at least it's got to be worth something. So I wish I had some more for you, but honestly, that's pretty much all I know about it. But it definitely could be good. It definitely could be very interesting to see. But that's really all I got for you on that one. So. Road Scholar, I should say, it's what it's called, by the way. I think I said Road Scholar or something. Road Scholar is what it's called. But, yeah, Road Scholar. Anyway, on to the last movie, and that is another documentary, and that is Twist.
Coming from New Line Home Video.
Let's do the twist.
Come on, baby! Let's do the twist. The hottest craze to hit the dance floor is now the hottest motion picture on video. Twist.
So The Twist is a documentary talking about the twist dance craze of the 1960s, exploring the creative, social, and political context in which it was created and embraced by the public. And it's basically a documentary about the song made popular by Chubby Checker. I mean, that's a song that everyone remembers. It's in the trailer. And again, kind of like with Road Scholar, this is one that I'm just kind of like, that's pretty much all I know about it, because I haven't seen this movie. I never even heard of it until now. But, I don't know. I didn't think there was a whole lot you could really do with this, but who knows? Maybe there actually is a lot there to take from this song. All I remember about the song is that I used to listen to it all the time when I was little, and you could still listen to it nowadays and still really get into it. It's a great song, catchy beat, and, yeah, I kind of wish I had some more for you, but that's pretty much all I know about this movie, So, yeah, that's The Twist for you. And so on that note, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. Next time we meet, we got 3 more movies to look at, including John Singleton's follow-up to Boys in the Hood, Janet Jackson and Tupac Shakur in Poetic Justice. We also have the latest Saturday Night Live skit to become a motion picture, Dan Aykroyd and Jane Curtin in Coneheads, and the sequel that I guess some people were waiting for, another Stakeout with Emilio Estevez, Richard Dreyfuss, and Rosie O'Donnell added into the mix. We'll look at those 3 movies on the next episode. But until then, Thank you very much for watching, and as always, if you want to see more videos like this, please hit the playlist on the next page, check out the previous episode, and I will see you guys tomorrow for another episode. So thank you for watching, I'll see you next time, and until then, as always, take care.